of the deciding best of three. It is everything on the line right now. The winner advances to Blizzcon to represent North America in the grand finals. The loser is ejected out of the tournament in third place. No hope to advance to that grand final at all.
We have Liquid Sheth spawning as the blue Zerg up here at the 2 o'clock position, and his opponent is going to be Liquid Huk spawning as the red Protoss down here at the 7 o'clock position. Now, talking with Huk real quick between these two matches, Huk was saying that he's just taking it one game at a time. That's something that sometimes players will look to the grand finals, for example. If I win this, I go on to play Select. Huk's looking at this game like right now playing Sheth. I'm not going to focus or worry about anything else that may or may not happen except for these 3 games.
And often, I mean, even thinking less about the future, oftentimes players get stuck about their previous games, doing something like, oh man, against Select in that one game, oh, I shouldn't have done this or that. Huk's had a day to recover from that, but Sheth is just coming off a loss where he forgot Zergling's speed in game 1, and it was a very easy cleanup for Select in that match. The next 2 games were quite struggle games for Select where he narrowly took the win, but I'm sure Sheth can fall into that trap of kicking himself and beating himself up. Oh, I can't believe I forgot speed. Anytime something goes wrong in this game, he spends it thinking about the last one.
We see Liquid Huk with a pylon up on the high ground, and this is a little bit different from most of the Protosses we've seen, but this is not different whatsoever for Huk, as he has done this in almost every PvZ so far today. You see Sheth with, of course, the 2 Overlords now moving across map, and you will see him put these probably right outside the natural, try to get it behind, but by then, if a Cybernetics core is out, it will get taken down. We'll have to see and follow up on those Overlords as the game progresses forward here. Quick gas for Sheth, looks like as standard as can be. He will be able to get that metabolic boost as soon as that spawning pool finishes.
Now, Sheth is the sort of player who has said many times that the usual follow-up from this play is to get a bunch of drones non-stop because you're thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't had my second hatch up for a while. I better only larva inject, only drones, so I can get back to where I would have been if I had just done a normal early expand. However, Sheth regularly floods out 16 to 20 Zerglings all of a sudden. Uh-oh, this is familiar.
The black screen of death.
The black screen of death comes back to haunt us. If this continues to happen, then we will eject me from the game, and it will be JP McDaniel who will be bringing you the observing action. But until then, we do see that one probe moving out for Huk.
And so, here we have a probe coming out, like you were just mentioning. There's the Cybernetics core going down. Metabolic boost just now starting. There are the 4 lanes coming out for Sheth. He has not taken his expansion just yet, but I do see a blip on the map, and it will be going over to the natural, plopping down that hatchery for Shethry, is what I'm going to call him here in this game for some reason. Shethro, yeah.
So it does look like the probe does reach back home again. It will be returning that one set of minerals that it did so brutally snag from the opposition. There's the Zergling speed incoming for Liquid Sheth. The natural expansion is up, and this is the sort of responsibility of Zergling play that really excites me, checking all the various edges. He did miss a little bit of a corner there, but fortunately nothing was inside, and this is where all the proxy stargates occur, and it's amazing to me how irregularly players check for it.
Yeah, it's really awesome to see that. I think you were quoted for saying that Destiny said the other day when he was on your daily, which if you do want to watch it, you can go check it out at day9.tv, but he was saying that you can't have Zerglings ever being idle, and if they ever are, you need to make sure that they're doing something, taking down destructible rocks, scouting for pylons like you were just talking about. They need to be active on the map, controlling zone Aga towers, and it seems like Sheth is one of the people that also understands this.
And there is the Queen dropping down that initial creep tumor, heading back to the hatchery where he will obviously begin the larva production. And I think for the first time in this entire tournament, we have seen the standard 3-gate sentry expand. Players love this build. It is very reliable, but here it is. There's that early flood of Zerglings that we were just talking about. Sheth is going to pop out a couple of Zerglings, and then he's going to go right back to drone production. It will delay his third, but his goal is to delay Huk's second.
Now, a lot of the times, sometimes Zerg players will... sometimes, Sean, Zerg players will throw down that Roach Warren and do somewhat of an all-in. Do you feel like this is... really behind the times that not so many Zergs are comfortable doing that now?
Well, it all depends on how many sentries you see with what buildings are getting thrown down. And as we can see, Sheth not only denies the expansion, but also supply blocks Huk. So interestingly, Huk cannot even build these extra sentries that he needs. 2 stalkers are actually out on the field right now. And this extra follow-up from Huk's, or excuse me, from Sheth is quite interesting to see the Roach Warren and Evo Chamber planting as well.
Nexus going down for Huk. However, that initial pylon was taken out, so he will not have anything there to kind of wall off into the main base, but it should be out of here pretty soon. Some Lings getting us around on the hat, or on the Nexus. They're going to try to be able to cancel it. It was very, very close, but Sheth is going to pull out there at the last minute and use John's Common Knowledge Norway to get back home. Because I think about what
John's
I just said.
Knowledge Norway. There's the +1 melee attack.
Oh, and some force fields down here. Dude trapped some Lings, Sean.
Wow. Huk
And that hallway that we just talked about.
He had some good haulage at that backside and used it to force field in those Zerglings, and ordinarily we would see Sheth follow up with a little bit of a Roach Ling aggression, but now that he's lost all those Zerglings, it looks like Sheth is going to try to back up, build some additional drones, and though I think that would work against most Protosses when you're up against someone as ridiculously, insanely aggressive as Huk, you always have to be wary of a counterattack coming at your front. And we see it looks like Sheth does manage to do some damage to the pylon and is pulling back again. But that first spine crawler gets taken down. Oh no, a force field at the ramp. It could be a quick game.
Yeah, that will of course allow 4 Lings to get through, but not Roaches. We see one stuck there. And we see drones being pulled, 2 force fields going down to belay those drones from getting in. And oh, it looks like Sheth might be able to hold this, Sean.
Sheth looks like indeed he's going to be able to hold. He has more Zerglings streaming down. He has the drones that have done considerable damage to this front side. And all of a sudden now, Huk is in a position where he could lose to some big counter aggression. I mean, It's just 3 gates from Huk. This has been back and forth like crazy.
Now with that last attack, as soon as Sheth knew he was about to win, we had 10 drones pop out. And even though he pulled all of his drones at the natural, we saw right there in the unit tab that he was already back up to 37.
Wow, and there's the layer coming in right now. The 3rd hatchery, getting a little bit of larva on it. We see that +1 melee upgrade. Couple more Zerglings try to slip in. But there is going to be the robotics facility from Liquid Huk. He is planting that down at the front of his base. Looks like he will be wanting to maybe get some Immortals or perhaps the more standard Observer to poke around, spot where those creep tumors are, and continue to push forward. But Sheth, with that extra 3rd hatch, is able to use up all the extra energy on his queens.
Lair has been started. It's about halfway, maybe 60% complete, as well as the missile attacks level 1 from that evolution chamber. Now, Sean, when you play against your teammates in the practice arena, how much of that really translates into the tournament arena?
Well, I mean, the big thing is that players will oftentimes try to play mind games with each other. They know each other so well that it's less what can Protoss do, but it's like, what can Huk do? Well, I see him regularly going for Blink Stalkers in this situation, and then you try to pre-prepare for that. So you oftentimes have some very goofy antics. But with players of this level, you get to the point where they just know what's strong, they know what is weak, and they're going to play to the strengths of their race. These players are likely playing a lot more calm than they would be if they was against a stranger.
See up here in the top left-hand corner, there are 2 pylons already. Probe did sneak into the back of Sheth's natural, but did not drop anything. And uh-oh, some Lings running into the natural of Huk.
Again, the counterattack.
Probes.
So big in this matchup. All of a sudden, Zerg players just relentless with their surrounds, and oh man, I'm feeling really worried for Huk at this point. He is getting on very unfriendly territory.
And here, Huk is going to continue to move in, maybe just sniping all these creep tumors and going back home. The pylon has been scouted here, but 3 zealots will be warped in, and they're going to be able to easily clean up that as some more Lings are going to be joining pylon here. And uh-oh. Be careful to not get surrounded, but at the same time, Huk is closing the gap here, and now those Lings are going to be caught off guard and returning back home, using that Observer to make sure that they are going back home.
The +1 Carapace is almost out as well, but the Zergling Roach are starting to move forward. It looks like Roach Speed is about to finish.
Oh no.
Huk, for all his fancy movement in the middle of the map, looks like he is actually going to be caught a little bit off guard here. We see that the Zealot Stalker count is quite high. There's a lot of force fields being thrown down. With those Zerglings slipping between the cracks with the +1 Roach and the +1 Zerglings. Sheth is overrunning this force, even having some Roaches swing around to the backside. The force fields by Huk have been very impressive, but he does not look like he's going to have enough to hold off the big counterplay.
Saw 4 more Stalkers warped in at that northern pylon, but they are getting cut off by all of these Roaches, and with no force fields there, it looks like Sheth is going to be able to get a sandwich, and maybe so as some more Stalkers will fall, and Immortal did pop out. We see 4 sentries being warped in. He's going to be able to close this gap with some force fields, but ooh, not the best one, only catching 1 Roach behind them.
And a burrow.
Very
nice.
End.
And a burrow. We both scream in amazement. We haven't really seen this used too much in these games. Sheth using that opportunity to heal up those Roaches very rapidly. Zerglings now being rallied to the front lines, and I genuinely think that Huk will have a hard time holding off any rally of Roachling.
Sheth is trying to take out that Sock, but it will be saved. We have an infestation pick going down, as well as a 3rd base, but Sheth is continuing with this attack. He was trying to snipe that force, but now he's moving forward. The Immortal's actually on the outside.
Oh,
no! Focus down.
And he takes it out, and all the Roaches doing gigantic damage. There are very few sentries with any energy left. Another Immortal pops into the fray. Sheth retreats, but the advantage is swinging more and more into his favor by the second. The Zerglings now advancing forward. They do have the +1 upgrade. The Roaches have the +1 upgrade. The target fire on the robotics facility. The Immortal, vulnerable at the front, again gets taken down. 2 more force fields. Zerglings overrunning. Sheth looks like he will be able to take a win against his teammate Liquid Huk. The Immortal still alive, now just falling to all those Roaches. More Zerglings stream in that can slip through all those tiny cracks. And there's the good game. Sheth goes up 1-0 versus teammate Liquid Huk.
He's got to be feeling pretty good. Coming off that loss from the winner's bracket, he's maybe a little bit shooken up, but he just secured a victory over one of the best PvZers in the world. And that right there is, of course, Liquid Huk. 2 teammates going at it. Of course, if Sheth can seal this next game, he's going to be joining Select from Team Dignitas there at Blizzcon in October.
Very surprised to see that Sheth was able to play so well in that game 1. We've seen him have a little bit of shakiness at the start of the game, but I mean, he just looked spot on with a lot of those timings. That defense of the big counterattack almost looked like an invitation. Come on, try to counterattack. Sure, I'll have to pull off all my drones, but I have 3 hatches already built. I can snap back a lot faster than you can with just 3 gateways.
Yeah, so Huk is going to actually take a couple seconds, and I'd probably just go breathe and try to relax. So let's go ahead, and Sean, if you guys actually have Twitter out there, you can go ahead and tweet at Day9TV as well as at ItMeJP, and make sure to include this hashtag right there, SC2BI, in the messages. And how about we pull a couple questions from there, Sean? You want to do that?
Yeah, let's go ahead and hop in and look at some